They.Were.Heroes, a 5e D&D game. How are you doing today?
Uh, kind of itchy, kind of hungry, but nevertheless excited.
Kind of itchy, that's a way to start off.
Yeah.
So, today we have with us Alan, who is going to be playing.
I'm gonna be playing Nobu Wohali. He's um he's Tobu, but at the same time he also has some what is it called? Tawalan, Tawalan, Tawalan heritage as well, and he's um he's on a personal quest to find out more about his heritage while spreading the word about Tobu as well.
So why don't you go ahead and describe a little bit to everyone watching what exactly is a Tobu and what is a Monowalan?
Tobu is basically this um how would how would I describe it? Think of it as a uh, Eastern ethnicity in the setting, while Tuvalan are more of like how would you describe it? It's a little difficult for me to describe it without like being long-winded.
So a good idea for the Monowalan, think of them as your sage-like, one with the environment type of people. People that commune with nature, with animals and beastkin, and have a connection that, unlike other humans, is less tenuous and more of a brotherly sisterly lifestyle
Hmm.
compared to other humans in this setting. So, that is Nobu. So,
Yeah, that is noble.
topping it all off, why don't we. No, I'm good. So, topping it all off, Nobu. What is it that makes you travel and adventure?
Um, so Nobu was born and raised in an outpost in this current setting called Shiranui's Rest. It's not too far from Fort Go, and he was raised in order to be a sort of diplomat and spread the influence of the Tobu, and so that's his secondary goal. His primary goal is to find out more about his Matawalan heritage, since his mother is Matawalan, but most of his most of that side of the family has been censored and stuff.
Censored,
So
you say? Is there something
censored.
aspect in your life that has been censoring it?
Yeah. Nobu's father has been actively censoring any history that uh, Nobu's mother may have attempted to share with Nobu. And although he respects, obviously, the Tobu and sees them as his people, he also wants to realize why it is that his father is so against his mother's heritage and stuff.
We've heard a little bit about we've heard a little bit about this mother and father. What are their names? What did they do slash did? Are they still with us?
Yeah, they are. Nobu's mother is called Nizoni. Um, she Her tribe was actually conquered by the Tobu when she was pretty young, and she was forced into an arranged marriage against her will. And Nobu's father is called Hito. Um, and basically, they are alive, but but Nobu's mother is contemplating on certain things.
That seems a little ominous. Is she with your father still, or is she somewhat of a unknown factor? Did she leave after time, leaving you with your father, or is she still with him in this arranged marriage?
She is still with him. Think of it as like her being a permanent housewife, unable to have any say in what she wants to do.
Alright, so with that in mind, what was it that finally led to Nobu striking out on his own? Was there a
Embrace the
specific
night.
encounter, situation, some type of life-changing event that finally fueled his like need for adventure, or was it a lot more mundane, just a need to find yourself?
He's out on his father's behalf, and his father tells him that if he doesn't return with the proper results of spreading propaganda and influence of the Tobu, then he will be permanently banished from ever returning to his family.
So he's on a time limit.
He is on the time limit.
Was a time limit ever described to Nobu, or is this something that he was left to interpret?
Something that he was left to interpret. Mostly, it's his paranoia that drives him at this moment.
And the idea of being banished, is that what frightens him? Like, what is it that banishment becomes a truly terrible outcome for Nobu?
Well, to Nobu, his people and his family are everything that he really knows in life, and losing access to that would be basically worse than death itself. He would be truly alone.
So trying to avoid this type of outcome has become something that fuels you and drives you. With that in mind, is there anybody else at, how is it, the Shianai's Rest? Oh, how do you pronounce it?
Shiranui.
Shiranui.
Yeah.
What else in Shiranui's Rest has your attention there? Any friends?
Nobu never really had a lot of friends growing up. He did have the typical one best friend and one rival. His best friend is it's a woman about the same age that he always used to talk to about his personal life and trade secrets and whatnot. And
What was her name?
her name, let's see. Let's call her Naga.
And what was your guys' first encounter like? What kind of fueled the friendship that was able to live on through years, essentially?
So one day, Nobu did not want to train alongside his father. Training was a ritual every day, and it was forced upon him in order to have him become a true warrior, especially in times where firearms are paramount to one's survival, and he ran away for a brief moment, and uh, outside of the outpost's walls, he found another person that was simply picking out wild plants and stuff that were growing, and that's how he found Naga. More like a mere coincidence. Yep. She is not. She is, in fact. She is one of the only few Mochwalan that Nobu knows, aside from his mother. She is still with us.
What else can you tell me about Naga?
She too is a trade broker, and her family especially specializes in selling herbs and whatnot. They usually pick out all these wild plants themselves, and they sell them at rather high prices since medicine is hard to come by, especially in such open areas. Naga is very assertive, and she can be a little mean-spirited at times, but she recognizes when there are occasions in which she must be sensitive or kind to others.
Was there a romance that sparked through this, or did you keep it strictly best friendless?
Nobu desperately wants to keep it non-romantic, completely platonic, but sometimes he lets his wild emotions show.
Is this the only girl that Nobu has shown to have a chance of affections with?
No, actually. Well, Nobu was told that when he was much older, he would have to do the same as his father did, which is partake in an arranged marriage, and he doesn't want that. So as much as he does want to settle down and have a romantic partner in the future, he sees it more as a liability.
Does that mean Nobu's inexperienced when it comes to other women?
No, he's more passive than inexperienced.
You shouldn't have.
Sometimes he doesn't care, sometimes he does. But he cares more about Naga than other women, of course. Aside from his mother.
So let's get to the chase. Is he a virgin?
He is not a virgin.
Okay, then. Has he made attempts to make sure nothing came of those encounters?
Yes, he has. As a rite of passage into adulthood, his father told him that if he were to have any encounters with women, he would have to just keep it at that, just an encounter, and he's been doing well with that. like I said, he tends to be quite passive about certain things, especially relationships with women.
So he made sure that he's not running around and having a couple of unknown kids out there.
Yeah.
So we know about Naga, the girl that he's grown to have a friendship, a friendly relationship with. Who is this villain, this enemy that you were speaking of earlier?
It is a rival trade broker that is um, basically this rival's family has been a rival to Nobu's father as well, and so it's sort of like a reoccurring issue that the family has had. And Nobu right now he's not very keen to his rival's antics, and although he doesn't agree with it, he wants him gone one way or another.
Has he done anything particularly nefarious to try to push these ideas on? Maybe take up an weapon or somewhat to these people, or has he kept it respectably civil?
As much as Nobu doesn't want to admit it, he has sabotaged some trade routes that his rival takes in order to preserve his own wealth.
And so far we've been talking as them as the rivals, the others. Who are these people in detail? What are their names?
Let's call them the Sakaguchi family. Uh, they they would rather conduct business in sketchy ways than honest ways, and nobody really bats an eye aside from Nobu, and he sees them as criminals rather than uh, business people.
Have you been able to prove that they've done something dishonest to sabotage your family's business?
Not yet, and any evidence that does come up somehow mysteriously disappears.
So they are definitely moving against your family, but your family has not had the chance to properly call them out for their nefarious deeds.
Yeah, exactly.
Alright. So, moving away from that. So we know that he's not shy for dirtying his own palms.
Mm-mm.
Has
No.
Nobu taken a life?
He has taken a life, unfortunately. It was to protect his friend, who was at danger at the time. She felt remorse, but he saw it as a necessary evil.
What was the danger that they were encountering?
Um, just your average bandits searching for people to pillage, for people to take advantage of in one way or another. And in this case, uh, Nobu realized that Naga might be in multiple types of dangers.
How many people did he kill on this day?
He
And
had
how
to
did he
kill.
do it?
He had to kill two of them before the rest got the message that there's no messing around with Nobu. Um, since he is not proficient with firearms at all, due to a little quip that he has, he used a great sword that was passed down to him by his father. He simply cut them down with no remorse at the time.
And how did Naga take this?
At first, she didn't agree to the violence, but later on, both Nobu and Naga realized that in order to survive in this dangerous time, there has to be a sense of it's either you or me.
So moving this along, we now know through your backstory that you're a trade broker of some sorts, correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What is it that is your main trade?
Selling ores and metals in order to forge weapons and whatnot, especially more advanced firearms. My Nobu's family specifically specializes in selling iron and bronze.
Does your family have a particularly infamous or famous name associated with it?
Yeah. Although Nobu himself is relatively unknown, his father Hito is known in the area as Hito the Savage, because when he was younger, he actually saw it as entertaining to go around slaughtering people for no other reason than just to amuse himself.
So this man, Hito, your father,
Mm-hmm.
does he have a bounty on his head?
He does have a bounty. It's not as high as other people, but it's enough to keep him from cities and towns.
And how has that affected your life, knowing that the person that is teaching you, the person that's keeping you away from your mother's side of the family, is also a known criminal?
Nobu sees him as a respectable warrior, but not a respectable human. His morality is definitely brought into question, and Nobu very much resents what his father is, and finds him to be dishonorable.
Has Nobu ever taken the courage to stand up against his father?
No, Nobu knows that if he was to do so, then he would easily be killed. No questions asked.
And that knowledge is known between you that your father is completely willing to slay you.
Yeah, if Nobu stands against his father's goals, then at that point he would just see Nobu as another pawn in his schemes, in his business.
So you do fear for your life when it comes towards your father.
Yeah, very much so.
Have you seen your father kill anyone?
Yeah, multiple times. Some of the people were people that he enslaved, while others were simply people that he killed in order to instill fear into those that are in the outpost, to assert his dominance.
Are you an only child?
I am an only child.
Is that with intent? Does your father make sure to leave his seed only to you? Or is this just your father has no interest in birthing or women anymore?
He, uh, Nobu is the only child because his father simply doesn't want to take responsibility for more children, and he deems the firstborn to be the most powerful.
So we have this a lot instilled on the ideas of how your father works. What does your mother do in all this?
She can't do anything. She's not a warrior, and when she was but a young girl in her old tribe, she was a gatherer. She has no combat training, and she doesn't even have the physicality to train anymore. She
Does she have a physical deficiency?
Yeah, she does. She has arthritis after years of working as a housewife.
And how does your father treat this issue?
He takes advantage of her every single day. Um, he knows that she can't do anything without feeling at least some pain. And if she doesn't finish what it is that Nobu's father asks her to do, then there may be consequences.
Does she always finish?
She does always finish, even though it pains her to do so.
So you mentioned earlier that Nobu got hold of his father's greatsword.
Mm-hmm.
What's the story in that?
It was actually the first greatsword that um, his family's line created. It's at least a couple of 100 years old, and it's been sharpened to a point where it may almost very well be impossible to dull it. And although it's just a normal greatsword, his family considers it legendary, and Nobu just sees it as a weapon that has to be used in times of need. The sword doesn't have a particular name, as it's not seen as that important.
So after taking your father's greatsword, did you do this with permission, or did you take it in the clandestine nature to save Naga?
It was given after fully completing training. So it was a gift. One of the only moments where Nobu's father showed him an ounce of kindness.
And just so everybody knows, like yesterday, I'm taking down notes in the droves to use against this fella right here. Oh boy. Alright, so, knowing exactly that the sword was given to you purposefully, and being sent out on your father's orders to complete this mission in hopes to bring more honor to your family and to find more about your lineage on that other side of your family. let's go ahead and dig into the legends that fall around Nobu, the trade broker.
All right. Excellent.
All right, so what kind of tall tales have been told about Nobu? We need 4.
4. All right. Cool. Let's say that one was. Let's say that it is believed that Nobu was able to successfully convince an entire group of bandits to give him as much money as possible in order to begin what is called the Bandit Brigade, and use them as mercenaries. But this is simply based off of his actual encounter with the bandits and him trying to save Naga. Second legend was actually spread by his father in order to make Nobu seem much more great than he is. His father told the outpost that Nobu is able to cut multiple rocks in half in only one fell swoop. And every time he does so, he prays to the sun to show gratitude to it for his strength. Third legend is that it is believed that, or some people believe that Nobu may very well be one of the Ever King's sons, due to how impressive his skills are, especially in his skills of having a commanding presence. And let's see, 4th and final legend is some believe that whenever Nobu puts down his sword, it is a sign that great danger may befall not only himself, but those around him, as it is thought of as an omen, a bad omen, to put down one's weapon, even when there's no danger at all. I think that was 4, right?
That was 4.
All right, cool.
So, it's here believed that Nobu fella once convinced an entire bandit group. I tell you this. He was able to convince them to give him all their gold, and then hired them back with the same gold to be his own little bandit brigade, a group of mercs. Well, I did. I was over at the same station. I heard that Nobu, he was able to cut through multiple rocks with a single swoop. Some reckon that he did it and then prayed to the sun afterwards like he was some kind of sun deity. Y'all are dumb. I know this Nobu fella. He's one of the Ever King's sons, that's who he is. I swears it. You know, only thing that's true about this Nobu fella I heard is he puts down his sword. You can expect bad things to come with it, I hear reckon. So, those are all the legends that follow Nobu the Trade Broker.
Yeah, sounds fair. Sounds about right.
So, like we did with Oscar, we're going to go over the questions to see if there's anything we missed in today's little soiree of information to basically get everything that we can out about Nobu, this Matawalan Tobu half-breed, looking for purpose in this world. So, starting off, we need to ask, where are you from? Which, we have that question answered. You're from the...
I am from Shiranui's Rest, a outpost not too far from Fort Go.
Then next is, what is your family like? Which...
Yeah, my mother is a Matawalan, and while my father is a Tobu. My father is extremely strict and cruel, and my mother is unfortunately very submissive and unable to fend for herself. And Nobu is an only child.
Then after that is, what is his social class? That's something we didn't actually. Well, technically, kind of.
Sort of. Nobu is from a line of samurai and merchants that sell ores and metals.
So he kind of would be seen as a noble, but only in the sense that they have the most money flowing into a town.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so moving past that, we have what it is that made you become an adventurer, which we kind of answered.
Yeah. Nobu became an adventurer partly under his father's will to spread the word of the Tobu and spread propaganda, while Nobu himself seeking knowledge about his heritage and the reason why his father censors his Matawalan side.
So ever the answer searcher.
Yep.
Alright, next to that is, how religious is Nobu, which we actually don't have.
Nobu is not religious at all. He deeply despises the thought of worshipping a deity or a god.
What led to this, utter betrayal of the faith? What fuels his hatred of it?
Half of it is because of his father, who claims he acts under the will of the gods. And Nobu does not want to be like his father in that regard.
Alright, so after that, who are you best friends with and worst enemies, which we did touch on this.
Mm-hmm. Nobu's best friend is a woman named Naga, whom he met after he ran away for a brief period of time, and Nobu has a rival called Sakaguchi who constantly makes his life a living hell.
Then after that would be, what is your prized possession? That's something we haven't touched on.
Very correct. Nobu has two prized possessions. One is a pair of earrings that his mother made in secret, and he always wears these earrings without fail. And his other prized possession is the sword that was given to him by his father.
So, with his great sword and earrings in hand, that would be his most prized possessions. Moving past that, how loyal is Nobu? Or who is Nobu loyal to?
Nobu is loyal to none but his people and those he calls allies. And the reason why he is loyal to only these specific groups is because his father told him to never, ever trust anybody who doesn't look trustworthy in the slightest.
And then finally, who is it that Nobu loves, and who is it that Nobu hates?
Nobu loves his mother and his nation because it was instilled in him that his nation is the greatest and none can hold a candle to Tobu. And he also loves those that he devotes himself to, like his friend Naga. And he deeply dislikes those who talk ill of either him or his heritage, be it the Tobu side or the Mudawallan side.
So, with everything in your character filled out and figured out, is there anything you want to put as closing words about Nobu the trade broker?
Yeah, although Nobu is physically strong, he wants to always find a way to avoid bloodshed, be it through talking to people or just making a sort of compromise. He sees violence as a last resort, unless they piss him off to that point. Then who knows? There may not be any saving you.
Alrighty, thank you, Alan, for bringing Nobu, the trade broker, to this session 0 for They.Were.Heroes, a D&D 5e game. Remember, you can follow me at Nightxgamer at YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch, and Patreon to be involved with everything that we're doing here. We go through on Twitter and Facebook for updates, messages about when we're going to be streaming or going live and all that fun stuff. Then on YouTube and Twitch, that's where you can catch our content. YouTube will always have all the content that we make on Twitch posted there over a set period of time. And then Twitch, you can find us live or find reruns depending on the day of the week. I may have reruns of games going, but thank you guys so much for coming out and watching with us. We are gonna go ahead and call it here and probably be back later tonight with another session 0 for another character. So, thank you, Alan and Nobu, for coming and talking with us and ironing out a lot of information about Nobu. I look forward to using it against you in the future.
All right, let's see about that.
Oh, we shall. So, thank you guys for watching. See you next time. Peace.